Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Danielle LoDuca. I am a life coach and advisor for female leaders, and I'm also the co-founder of several Islamic nonprofit organizations. I'm glad you're here. So in my work with communities, I've seen that sometimes Muslims can begin to feel very down about their practice of the faith. So sometimes they feel down, and sometimes they feel a lot of pressure, especially external pressure, to be doing things a certain way and to be showing up a certain way and to have a certain level of faith as well. So if you've ever been feeling like you're not measuring up or you're kind of feeling down and out, let's talk. So Islam really isn't only about falling in line. It's more so about falling in love, because our submission, our practice of the religion must come from a place of sincerity. So when I first accepted Islam about 20 years ago, my heart was so full. It was so much in awe of God, and I wanted more than anything else to meet him in a way where I was pleased with him and he would be pleased with me. And so I was looking for his guidance. I was seeking that guidance. And then it was, I can't say easy, but it was much easier from that place to follow the guidance because of that genuine sincerity. Now, even someone like me who started out on such a strong note has their ups and downs. All of us do. We all have our high moments of faith and moments where we feel lower, we feel more disconnected, we feel more distant, we might even feel confused, we might feel sometimes even abandoned, or like we don't know even how to get out of the hole that we seem to have dug ourselves in. Sometimes we may even have questions and doubts that come up and we're not sure what to do or where to go to find answers to that. So if you've experienced any of that or something else, just know that you are not alone, and that's a normal part of being human. All of us are imperfect, and as a result, struggle and challenge is going to be a natural part of life. So whether or not you're a born Muslim, so if you've been born in a Muslim family, or if you're someone who's come to the faith later on in their life, just remember that you have been invited to surrender to your Creator. And the best way to do this is obviously willingly, right? Out of love, sincerity, and hope. Hope for the reward that you may get in this life and the next, and the opportunity, right? This invitation is really for this opportunity to experience eternity with peace, free of guilt, free from fear, peace. I was just reading today part of Surah Ar-Ra'd, Thunder, where God talks about the never-ending shade, endless shade, just peace. Imagine sitting in a beautiful park under a tree with a beautiful breeze in the shade, and how calm and peaceful you may have felt at one point in your life. And maybe now life is really hectic. Maybe you have tons of responsibilities, and the thought of something beautiful and peaceful like that is a yearning. Or if you're able to experience that now in your life, it's soothing, it's resetting, right? So that's the kind of experience, and of course, far beyond that, that we're invited to, right, in paradise. And so the ones who willingly surrender and submit to the guidance and follow that guidance, that roadmap that we've been given so generously so that we can find our way towards goodness, towards peace, towards happiness in this life and the next. When we do that, we will never regret it. So that's something to remember and hold on to, that when I do this, I will have no regrets about it, right? Because sometimes we're so resistant to doing the things, but actually those are the things that we would never regret doing, right? And it's the things that we don't do, the things we don't say, the actions we don't take that we end up regretting. So being a Muslim, being someone who submits to God, being someone who tries their best to follow the guidance, it doesn't guarantee perfection. So here's what I recommend to kind of help you on your journey. And that's number one, that you relax. So one of the things I mentioned is that sometimes a lot of the pressure we experience is coming from the outside. We think that we have to show up in a certain way. We get pressured to do certain things, to say certain things, to dress a certain way, to look a certain way, right? And that all that noise can start to take you out of that sincerity, right? And then you start doing stuff for other reasons and doing things to please other people. So number one is just to kind of relax under all these circumstances so that you can kind of return to yourself. So you have to calm your nervous system, breathing, resting, closing your eyes, going to a quiet place or a place that you find peaceful and relaxing. All of these things can kind of help. And don't let your mind spiral out of control with all of these thoughts. Okay, so just relax. Number two is find your willingness to learn and grow. Where are you actually resisting becoming a better person? If you examine those issues, those situations, you may find that you're actually committed to something other than your ultimate success in this life. So what are those other commitments that are competing with your ability to actually surrender, to actually practice this religion, to follow that guidance? Imagine if it's like actual GPS, right? And your GPS is telling you to go here and you just keep taking that other turn. It's like, no, turn back that way, right? And it keeps redirecting. So what are those turns that you're taking? Where else are you headed that's preventing you from actually what you really want to be your ultimate destination? And with that goes the point that you have to actually know why you want to get there. So why is this important? Especially if you're a born Muslim or if you've been Muslim for a really long time, we tend to forget, right? Humans are made forgetful. And so maybe you forget, like, well, why am I doing all of this stuff? And so it's very important to return back to the reason, the why behind why you do what you do as a Muslim. Why do you read the Quran? Why should you be praying 5 times a day? What's important about fasting? Why is that a thing, right? And why are you doing this in the first place? Why aren't you, an agnostic, an atheist, a Christian, a Jew? Why aren't you following any of that, right? So revisiting the basics, the core. And for this, I like to, number one, remember that, Islam, submission to God, is not something new. It has been around since the time of Adam, the guidance, right? In some way or another. And all of the prophets that came before the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, were ultimately trying to teach people to worship God, right? Without any partners. And so now we have this beautiful, perfected message, the Quran, that we have available to us, that is that roadmap, that is that guidance. And it's not just the guidance on like what to do and what not to do, but it really does connect with the heart and the soul, right? Reminding us of who our creator is, why we're here on this planet, right? Back to that why, and then where we're going ultimately. So keeping all of that in mind is so critical. And I recommend revisiting that why for this and for other reasons in your life often. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I Muslim? Refresh that belief, refresh that faith often and regularly, right? The last thing is the willingness to turn back to your Lord, to God, over and over and over again, right? And so we know that human beings have been created in such a way that we will sin, that we will make mistakes. But we've been taught and told that the best of us are those who return back. And so don't use your mistake or your sin as an excuse to completely fall off the wagon. Say, well, I did this bad thing, and so I might as well just give everything up. That's a trap. Okay, so stay out of that trap. Get back on track. Every time you make a mistake, that's actually another opportunity for you, a huge blessing of an opportunity for you now to return back and speak and communicate to God again and acknowledge what you've done. Acknowledge you've fallen off the wagon. Acknowledge you've gone off track, right? And ask for that guidance. It's a chance for you to reconnect, a chance for you to get even closer again to the one who created you and the one to whom you will ultimately return.